TimeEnds Radio. If I don't do that, my editor kills me.
Oh, yeah, you got to line them up.
I know, yeah. All right. Dude, thank you for doing this, man. I really appreciate you jumping in and being interrogated. I mean, interviewed.
Thanks for inviting me. I'm stoked.
So I wanted to ask you, the video game and your name, you know, like everyone has like, you know, like my stage name is TimeEnds, you know, people call me Time. And, you know, we come up with these stage names or they're nicknames that people, you know, give us. How'd you, you know, why Street Cleaner?
Street Cleaner was this. So in the I can talk for a while. I'll give you the clip notes. In like the 80s, the 70s and 80s, there was a lot of there was a genre of film called like these revenge films, vigilante films, and it's not really a genre that's prevalent anymore. But you know, like in movies, you have these waves, these fads. Like we'll get a bunch of vampire movies for a few years, followed by a bunch of zombie movies for a few years. And in the 1980s, we definitely had a revenge, you know, monster of the moment kind of thing, you know. It was they're really inexpensive movies that they would push out. You know, they could, just so many films that were out. There were revenge films, and just one of the phrases was a street cleaner, somebody who takes out the garbage, somebody, you know, who, you know, goes, you know, above the law, and you know, and it's just really neat. They you know, eventually those films would develop into weirder, you know, offshoots and stuff like a Maniac Cop, where you think it's a standard street cleaner film for the first half, and then it takes a turn when you find out he's just a murderer, you know, and stuff. So. But there was never a film just called Street Cleaner, you know. It's just the idea of a street cleaner. I always found kind of romantic, you know. I always liked that idea a lot. So so when I started this project, it was writing the soundtrack to a film called Street Cleaner that didn't exist, and that's why the first album is just called Street Cleaner. It's not, you know, it was a decision not to be, you know, my name. And then the album Street Cleaner, I decided to call the artist Street Cleaner as well. And it was originally like a one-off thing, you know, and then it just, you know, I love doing it so much. We had to do a sequel, you know. What's a cheesy schlocky film without a sequel, right?
That's true.
Yeah. And then from there, you know, like rolling a snowball downhill, it just got bigger and bigger.
So, okay, so you are in films, or do you work in films still, or?
Oh, no, that's the thing. I haven't really done any formal film work. Like I've licensed music into films. So, you know, there's an IMDb and stuff with movies on it that I've licensed music into, but I haven't written for film. I've written for video games. I've done that. I've had music at in amusement parks. I know Universal Studios licensed 5 of my songs for their parks. We got television. There's some, you know, that kind of thing. But I haven't written for film. I'd like to do that at some point in time. That'd be really neat. But
I listened to your Spotify. Well, number one, I'm a '90s guy, so when I listen to this, it reminds me of growing up. You know, because I was in, you know what I mean? And it really like hit home for me, and I really dig it. The one, the one song that stood out the most was Murder Cycle.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah, I listened to it in order, and that's the one that like stood out to me the most. I liked it a lot, so I'm gonna be listening to it again. You guys listening out there, if you're watching the YouTube, check out the links. Definitely cool shit. You know, it reminds me. Like, it's funny how you were saying about, like, the vigilante stuff, but it does remind me of, like, 80s horror films, B-movies and stuff, which is, like, my thing, you know? I love that shit. It's yeah, I'm a huge fan. So I really dig it. So the video game, how did that come about?
So my partner Brooks, who's been part of the street cleaner process, this whole time he was really instrumental in starting the project. He's done the majority of the visual stuff. So, when it comes to like album covers, vinyl layouts, stuff like that, he's done a lot of those, a lot of that stuff. He's a computer programmer. He is runs a indie studio where he makes indie games. I did the music. I've done the music for all of his projects, released or not. So I want to say like in 2013, I released Street Cleaner, the soundtrack to the film that doesn't exist.
Right.
And he jokingly made a little demo, like a video game demo, like a little platformer, that was the game based off the movie that doesn't exist. So you remember, like in the 80s and 90s, if a movie came out and it was successful enough, it would get a game.
Yep.
And for better or for worse, sometimes they were amazing. I don't know if you remember playing like the Aladdin game on Genesis was amazing.
Yep.
The Batman game on Nintendo was amazing, but for the most part, they were kind of like off model. Like one of my favorite ones is like Beetlejuice. The game is so off model. Like it's really like it's like they were reaching for a plot, like so hard. Like he's punching spiders and sewers and stuff like that. It didn't make any sense. Like it was dumb. Like there was an Addams Family game that was just like so off model. So we had joked around for so many years about like what a Street Cleaner licensed game would be. Like, so if a company had gotten the license to the Street Cleaner film in 1988, like what would that game look like? And so just after talking about it for years and years and years, eventually Brooks was just like, hey, let's do it. Let's do this. Let's make this game. So that's why they called it Street Cleaner, the video game, because it's a compliment to Street Cleaner, the original, the motion picture.
Right. That doesn't exist.
So it is the game that is based off the movie that doesn't exist. Yeah.
Have you thought about just doing the movie, especially like nowadays? Like,
absolutely, yeah.
Just fuck it, do it with a bunch of GoPros or like high-end cameras. Doesn't matter, and just do it. You should do it. It'd be awesome.
Oh yeah, no, I really want to. I have a very with everything I do. I have a very specific, narrow, like I don't want to say uncompromising, but almost like an uncompromising, like what I want to accomplish and stuff. So if I can get enough people on board that'll go along with me, that I can convince, oh, this is what we want to do. Believe me, then I'm all about it.
Well, I know quite a few people that'll be crazy enough to do it. I'm one of them, so that'd be fun, dude. It'd be so much fun.
Yeah, just a good old fashioned, 4:3 aspect ratio brawler, I'm tempted to just go and buy a bunch of VHS camcorders to film it on that.
I was just gonna say that. We should get a bunch of VHS
that's really what I've always wanted to do, and film it on 1993 hardware, and I'll obviously edit it on a PC, but get that 4:3 aspect ratio, get that really shitty interlaced, they'll get that really poor, bleedy color quality on there, and yeah.
Or get a VHS and just keep rewinding it, play it, rewind it, play it, just rub the head down.
Yeah,
or the tape, to get
it real quick,
Yeah. Just to get that shitty, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So you said you license music. Are you talking about stock music, or are you licensing like creations of your own, for example?
No, I've licensed music to films. There was a really neat film that actually it's funny is like I'll license music to projects that never come out sometimes. But I think the most recent film that came out was a movie called Vampire Virus, which I believe is on Amazon, and it was really neat to have my music featured in that movie. They needed like it's a vampire movie, and I'm not going to give away the whole plot, but it all accumulates. Everything in the movie leads to this one like club scene at the end of the film, and that's where you get some big revelations and stuff. And it was really neat that they heard one of my songs, "Better the Devil You Know," and reached out and asked if they wanted to license the song for the film. And so it's really neat to watch the film and to see everything kind of grow to that point. And I'm like, hey, that's my song. Like
it came out in 2020.
Yeah, I think so.
Okay, I just want to make sure it's the right one because I'm on IMDb. Well, I could just look for you.
I got it. I have to log in and dial in the street cleaner thing a little bit better. But yeah.
Are you credited on here or not yet?
I'm not sure. I'd have to look.
Let's see. Produce music by Matt Akers or Akers.
That's not me.
Okay.
What's the name of the director?
It is Charlie Steeds.
That's the film.
Okay. Yeah, it says.
I'm sure the composer, is that Matt guy. I licensed a song to the film, so.
That's probably what it is. It's music department, James Seeker.
Yeah.
Oh,
he's
music.
The guy that contacted me. Yeah.
Okay, so it's just not updated. That's what it is.
Yeah. Then I licensed 5 songs to Universal NBC, and they used my music for a couple of their attractions. One of them, they had an attraction called the Anarcade, where it was like this future retro, arcade. And it was really neat. Murder Cycle was played in that attraction. So if you went through, it was Murder Cycle on that. And then
hell yeah.
Yeah. The game Wasteland 3 came out last November.
Yeah.
And I've got music in that as well.
Oh, that's cool. So do you when you're licensing music, are you like writing it specifically for the project, or is it like stock music that you already have that you give out?
I wouldn't call it stock music, but it's my music, yeah.
No, I'm sorry. Not literally stock music that you upload for people to I mean stock music for that you keep writing for yourself and then you license it. That's what I mean.
They license. The only projects that I've written specifically for have been for Creaky Lantern Games. So
got it.
Yeah. Other than that, if a game hits me up, another game that came out last year called Exception is pretty rad. They licensed a few tracks from me, but they're all existing songs.
Okay, cool. Yeah, that's awesome. So so you mostly do like electronic music, or like how's your what do you do specifically? Do you play instruments other than programming?
I play a little bit of everything. I think if there's a part that I hear in my head that I want in a song, then I will figure out how to get that. There's it's not like I'm going and pulling out a trombone and but
Yeah.
Sometimes I'll write a song and I'll think to myself like, okay, that would sound better if that were a guitar part. So I will learn how to play it on guitar and painstakingly record myself until I get the right takes. But I'm not gonna go up on stage and at a show and play switch it to a guitar and do that part and then switch to this. What I do live is I've got this wireless MIDI controller.
Oh wow!
So this is what I play live, and that just basically makes it to where I can switch between a bunch of different instruments up here and then play them here, as well as trigger events and such over here. It's pretty cool, and then I can adjust volumes of different channels and stuff independently. And,
so that's a MIDI controller?
Yeah. What's that?
That's a MIDI controller?
Yeah, it's a wireless, like Bluetooth MIDI controller.
Wow, that is super. I've never seen one like that. Wow.
Talks to this little dongle right here.
That is super cool. Wow, that's so rad. So you do live performances also?
Oh yeah. I obviously didn't play any shows last year, but I played. I toured all over the country in 2019. I played from San Diego to Seattle. I played, from uh, uh, Orlando, Florida, all the way to Boston, Massachusetts. I played, Milwaukee, Chicago,
Hmm.
all over the place.
That's so rad. So when you're touring, is it just yourself, or do you have like a crew? Like, I mean,
It depends, I like to tour with friends,
hmm.
I got the luxury of touring with well, some of my favorite musicians. There's a group out of LA called Jackson that I absolutely love, and I was able to tour with them. I toured with one of my idols, Protector 101, and that was really fun. Flying all over the place and playing shows with him. So yeah,
That's awesome. So what's your writing process like? When you do you come up with a melody or a beat first, or?
I I most of the time I spend a lot of time dicking around on my piano in my living room, and sometimes I'll come up with a little neat thing,
Hmm.
just herky jerking around, and I'll try to commit that to memory, or I'll record it on my phone, and then I end up having enough little recordings on my phone and stuff that I'll then take that to the studio, the really messy studio. I don't want to pan the camera around right now and show you what the room looks like, but and then I'll bring it in here, and then I'll track things down from there. And 9 times out of 10 they sound like crap and they don't work, but every now and then something sticks. And then if I feel momentum on something, I just keep going with that until I run out of steam. And if it doesn't develop, then I'll set that aside and work on something else. I think the key to writing music, though, is just to keep doing what you want to do, and don't ever make it feel like it's a job, or that I got to finish this track, or I got to do this. You're talking about writing directly for things. I just remembered I wrote 2 songs specifically for a project last year. The guy that did the art for did some of the art for Cyberpunk.
Hmm.
He goes by the name Death Burger.
Deathburger.
Yeah, you should check him out. Look it up on Instagram.
Let's
Um,
see.
Death Burger. He did like the box art for Cyberpunk, the game that just came out.
Okay.
Um, and he's a fantastic artist. He's had big old, he's in Heavy Metal magazine, all sorts of stuff like that. He's really cool, and he recently put out like
Wow.
a comic book, like art book thing,
Hmm.
and he asked me to write some music for it. So he released that, and there's a couple songs that come with it when you download it digitally. There's a couple songs that of mine in there. So yeah, there was that. That was unique. He was trying to explain how it works.
I just want to make sure I have the right artist. The first like 6 photos, they're like really bright, like pink colors.
I'll pull it up real quick.
Let me see. This is rad. This is so cool. Cool stuff. This is so cool.
Death Burger. Yeah, they're like faces.
Yes. So the
Yeah,
first
that's
one,
what,
it's a chick with glasses with spikes. Like go.
yeah,
Okay,
yeah. He,
cool,
he does
awesome.
exclusively cyberpunk stuff, and he's really influential in the cyberpunk movement. Um, yeah,
My editor would like them.
it was really neat to work with him, especially somebody that has that much influence. I don't know if you looked at that followers number over there, but it's ridiculous.
That's a yeah. That's a oh whoa. That's a lot. I need glasses. Like everything's blurry. Wow, I just saw the K.
Yeah,
The K makes a difference.
yeah.
Oh,
So
that's rad.
it's really awesome when you have somebody like that in your corner.
Yeah, yeah, that's cool. So how'd you get into music? Was it like since you were young, or what inspired to do music?
Yeah. I guess when I was like 12 or 13, I got bit by the bug, and I don't know. I've always had this idea in my head that like when I see something cool, like as a kid. I was always like, I want to do that, like
Mm.
I want to learn how to do that, like I remember being like 9 years old and seeing the Smothers Brothers and seeing like the Yo-Yo Man, doing yo-yo tricks. And I was like, 9, and I was like, I want to do that, and I feel like that was one thing that kind of a unique quality of mine is I always tried to do stuff that I liked. And so when I got bit by the music bug, like when I started getting into music, I'm sure like everybody did in 1994, they started with like Pearl Jam and Nirvana and Nine Inch Nails and stuff,
Yeah.
and that was like, for me, it was like, oh, I want to do that, and luckily enough, I had a pretty musical family, so it was something that was endorsed, embraced by
Oh,
my
that's so cool.
parents, and so they gave me the tools I needed. If I but it was like, okay, now I want to drum. Okay, now I want to play guitar. Okay, now I want to play a banjo or a mandolin or whatever,
Wow.
and then
I'm
high
so
school comes
jealous.
around, and all of a sudden, what's the most what's the when you're in your late teens, like the hardest band member to find is a drummer.
Oh, it
Like,
still is.
yeah, so that was my way into getting into music was, oh, I'll just be a drummer. I'll definitely be in a band if I'm a drummer, right?
Yeah, they have to accept you. No, you're a
Yeah.
drummer. You're in.
Yep, you're in. Come on, you're a drummer. Yeah, it doesn't matter if you're good or not, and until they replace you with somebody who is better. But yeah, so and then like defaulted into the metal scene just because that's who would take me, I guess. And so I got to drum for a bunch of really fun bands. I drummed for some punk bands and some metal bands. Uh, I had pretty quick feet, so I was able to transition into doing blasts and stuff, and that was neat, working up my stamina on that, and but then after a while I realized like I don't know, and maybe being in bands wasn't for me, especially like if I wanted to make a career out of it, not a whole lot of people could say they've made a career out of being a drummer in a grindcore band.
Yeah, I see. I see you're getting at.
I was able to raise my kids and put them through college by going.
Yeah, no, I hear you. It's funny. It's funny you were saying that, whether you're good or bad, and then you automatically start saying, yeah, I was in punk bands, metal bands. Just for you guys that aren't musically inclined, that's not an easy style to play, especially in drums. Like, just listen to a metal band and watch the drummer. You just put it on mute. Don't even have to listen to it, and just watch the drummer on a video, and it's like it's a workout, dude. I pretend like that's my drum set there. I pretend to drum, and no way, man. I kudos to you guys. That's like fuck.
That was part of the frustration of being in a band is sometimes you'll have like a guitarist who he's going to write all the songs, right? Or he writes a song, and he's got like a little Dr. Rhythm, and he wrote the song using this Dr. Rhythm, and so he's playing eighth notes or something like that. Meanwhile, the drums are all over the place, and he wants me to replicate that. And I'm like, bro, you're literally like sailing down the lazy river at not Splash Soak City or whatever, and you want me to like be over here like doing freaking like Neil Peart at 200 BPM, like like. So that was it's. I think though I ended up in this one band with these two brothers, and they were both like masters of their craft. They were twin brothers. One played bass and one played guitar, and they were both like just so insanely good at what they did. And so I met them on sdmetal.org back in the day.
Nice.
And and they had me come in and drum for them, and they really pushed me to like learn a lot of stuff that I was uncomfortable with, to get me out of my comfort zone, to not do crashes on every for one count or something, and
Right.
it was pretty neat. When you work with really good musicians like that, they're able to push you into the right directions. But I think maybe the band thing just wasn't for me back in the day, and so about 10 years ago I decided not to not to do band stuff anymore, and just kind of like make music on my own and pursue what I wanted to do. And I think 10 years ago, writing 80s, 90 movies, soundtrack stuff was really, I don't want to say unpopular, but kind of people would hear it and they'd go like, "Ooh, that sounds like you're using a bunch of old equipment," And well, yeah.
See, that's the point, yeah.
And then all of a sudden, this synth-wave thing kind of started getting popular, and I was lucky enough to have already be established and be there.
Nice. So when you ventured off on your own after the band thing, was it hard to find like your own sound, or did you like, this is what I want to do, like right off the bat?
I'm still trying to find my own sound.
Okay, that's fair. That's fair.
Yeah. I think I try not to stay stagnant. I try not to have too much stay in one lane. I keep on trying to move. Like I just put out an album this month that I used Family Tracker on. So the mute. So hold on.
Okay.
I've got my cables here, like all good musicians should have. So the entire soundtrack to the game can actually be played on a Nintendo.
Oh wow.
Yeah. So this is sorry for the delay. So the entire soundtrack actually can be played on like a Nintendo itself. This is a MIDI NES, so it's got a MIDI port.
Holy shit!
And it's an NES cartridge. So what you do from there, and I'm not going to waste too much time by like showing everything, but I can actually play the sound chip on an hardware NES and see what things are going to sound like, and work out pitch bends and vibratos and stuff like that, and get everything dialed in. But then I wrote all the music in an editor that saves everything to the file format that would be used on a Nintendo. So the entire soundtrack to the game can be played on a physical Nintendo, and it has been. People have put it on flash carts and posted videos on Twitter and stuff. So I try not to stay stagnant. I try to keep on evolving and progressing and stuff. I've never released anything chiptune, as Street Cleaner until this month, and then I put up this album this month, and it's not just chiptune, but the majority of it is.
So if people wanted to download it or purchase it, like where would you recommend them going?
My Bandcamp is the best spot if you want to support. If you want to support any artist directly, Bandcamp's the way to go if they have a Bandcamp presence. So bandcamp.com, you can get straight there. If anybody goes to like street-cleaner.com, somebody's camping on streetcleaner.com right now. So
I hate that.
Yeah, but Bandcamp's the best way to support somebody directly. But I'm not stingy about stuff. If you use iTunes or you use Spotify or Pandora or whatever, I should be on all those platforms.
Awesome. You guys heard that, right? So you can go on Spotify or iTunes, and you can but I recommend supporting. Go to Bandcamp and download, or
there's a lot more stuff on Bandcamp too. Like a lot of the albums and stuff will have like bonus tracks on it and stuff that I don't put on streaming sites.
See, that's cool. So you guys heard it right here. Just go straight to Bandcamp. Forget the other sites. Just go to Bandcamp. Buy the stuff.
Oh, everything's cheap. If I don't ask for much, and most of the albums and EPs are free anyways. So.
Do you also have a YouTube channel or any other sources of digital platforms?
I don't run my own YouTube channel.
No? I
mean, I have a YouTube channel, but I don't post my own stuff there. I've got I got other folks will upload my stuff. So pretty much all my stuff's on YouTube. I've got an arrangement with some what do they call them? What's the word? Curators.
Oh, got it.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, all right. So, what are your major influences when it comes to writing music? I guess for some people, like the last interview I had, she would say it was fashion. So, like with you, is it like an artist? Is it a movie, video games? Like, what's your major influence when you write?
Um, I like movies and video games a lot.
Yeah.
Um, growing up in the '90s, it was. I don't think people remember too much. I think we have rose-colored glasses about how the music industry used to work because um, you couldn't just have music. You couldn't just be like, oh, that's a cool song. You had to go to a store and hope that they had it. And if they did, you're gonna spend $22 for the Mortal Kombat soundtrack.
Yep.
Like you're gonna spend out the fucking nose. And if they didn't have it, places like the warehouse would order it for you. But then you're gonna pay so much money to have it custom ordered. Like I paid there's so many times I paid like $35 of 1997 money
Yep.
to,
Yep.
to special order an album. And that was the only way that you could hear it, like you would get and that's the funny thing is you could get magazines and stuff like that, and you would be like looking at magazines and it would be like, they would have a review of the new Frontline Assembly album and you're like, oh, I cannot wait to get that. Hey, you may not get that. It's not, it was so controlled. So in the '90s, my formative years, I listened to a lot of video game music. A lot of video games had the little test screens where you could go through the menu select. Like I'd put on
Oh yeah,
Streets of
yeah,
Rage 2
yeah.
and then I'd hook my tape deck up to the little headphone jack on the front of a Sega, and I would make my own mixtapes. I would and I would record the songs from the games onto like a cassette tape, and that's what I would listen to. And then later, like when Sega CD came around, I found you can put like PlayStation, Sega CD and stuff, you can put the discs in a CD player and listen to the soundtracks. And like, that's, I was so anything I can get my hands on, and so video game music was really influential on me, especially because it didn't have words, it didn't have singing on them. And same thing with movie soundtracks. It was so, movie soundtracks would clutter up the bargain bin section at music places. So do I spend $20 on one album where I may like one song or two songs, or do I buy a bunch of these $4, do I buy the soundtrack to Trespass?
Mm-hmm.
Do I buy the soundtrack to like all these random ass, movies? And so I ended up listening to a lot of soundtracks again without really words to them or anything. So I never really was into music as so much as a verbal storytelling device. So
Right.
yeah, I guess that's what my influences were. Sorry, I was so verbose about that.
That's okay. It's funny because I remember, like, true story, like how you were saying you have to special order something and you're paying like an extra $10. I remember, going to the warehouse and waiting for the new Metallica album. I'm a huge Metallica fan. Some people are like, really? It's like, well, I grew up with them, But I went to the warehouse and I waited in line, and when I went in, they were sold out, and I had to pre-order it, and extra $10. It came out to it's like $25 plus $10 and tax and some other shit. It's kind of like when you buy a ticket. I would buy concert tickets at the warehouse because they had a ticket master there.
Yeah.
Same shit. It's like, oh, the ticket's $30, cool, but you end up paying $70 because you're paying this fee, that fee, this fee, that fee, this row, this seat.
Yeah.
And when you were telling me that story, it's just fuck. I remember that actually happened. For all you kids out there with your spoiled download shit, and it's fun, the mixtape thing too. Like I would have my own fucking mixtapes, and I would take tapes and record them here as a backup, and yeah.
I had so many tapes that were missing the beginning of each song because, like, I remember when Prodigy's "Fat of the Land" came out, I had gotten their previous album, "Music for a Jilted Generation,"
Mm-hmm.
and I loved it. I absolutely loved it. I thought it was amazing. I actually was gifted that like randomly. I think somebody had asked somebody at warehouse, like, I got a son. He's into like 9 Inch Nails and techno bullshit. He likes the Mortal Kombat theme song a lot. So they're like, get them this, and it worked. I loved it. And then their follow-up album, Music for the Jilted Generation, had that Firestarter song on it.
Right.
And they had the song Breathe. And those were huge, like MTV hits,
Yeah.
And it got so popular that album could not be bought. Literally, and it was no place. I remember my dad, bless his heart, I love him so much. Looking back at this stuff, it's great. He drove me from store to store to store to store, from Best Buy to Fry's Electronics to all these stores looking for that one album, and everybody sold out everywhere, And so you not only didn't get to have the song, you didn't get to hear it either. Like, oh, you heard that song a few times on MTV, you want to hear it again? You don't get to,
It's funny. I same scenario. My dad would take me to buy all the albums when it would come out, and he drove me from. I'll never forget. We went from Warehouse, because that was always number one spot. Warehouse, and then we went to Blockbuster because they had a small CD section, and then 2020 Video. Do you remember them?
Or where are you? What part of the country are you in?
Oh, you know what? L.A. This is all in L.A. Sorry.
Okay.
But yeah, so we'd go to 2020 Video, and then from there, we went to Circuit City. And normally,
state of the art.
but they normally would have it, and they same scenario. It's in the struggle of getting an album or even a movie back in the day. When it would come out and people just bought it or pre-ordered it or whatever. And you don't have that now. Not as much, I should say.
Yeah.
Which is I don't know if it's a good or a bad thing, because I mean, in a way, do people appreciate what they're, what they're getting because it's so instant?
I got in a fun internet argument with a fella about this topic, and he's a musician, and his stance was, if this were the 90s, I would be huge right now. And but he was complaining. That's what he said. If this were the 90s, I'd be huge right now. But he was complaining because he only got, pennies for his streams on Spotify. He's like, I only made $50 on Spotify last month or whatever, and he's complaining. My argument was, if this were the 90s, nobody would have ever heard of you.
That's true.
Like, the platforms that we have, like, I'm 100% independent. I still don't have a record label. And that's not because no record labels haven't reached out. I've gotten some really amazing offers, and they're great. They're fantastic. But I'm choosing to stay independent right now because I get to continue to make my own business decisions. I get to continue to own my own masters. And that does bite me in the ass big time, because who knows what things could have happened if I would have, taken some other avenues. But for the time being right now, everything is within my reach, and if there's a paywall, it's real minimum to get your music published, to get it out there, and what that does, people say, oh, well, the market's flooded. Everybody with BitTorrent can be a musician now. And I love that everybody with BitTorrent can be a musician right now, because that means that we're going to get the best of the best. All the people that otherwise we would have never been able to hear, we get to hear them now. We get to hear what that random kid who plays, street hockey all day, and you're afraid he's going to put a dent in your car or something like that, but at night he goes home and he freaking kills it on Fruity Loops, Now I get to hear that, because if this were the 90s, we would never be able to hear that. We would never be able to see what these people come up with. The biggest artists of the last couple of years were all people that were able to get their music out on grassroots campaigns, and I hate to say, I know Billie Eilish is connected through Hollywood and stuff, but at the same time, that was a self-produced album and self-published album, and then you look at people like that Lil Nas guy, that was a beat that he bought off some website and rapped over, and it became the #1 song of 2019, and that's amazing. And I think that's a real gift that we have, people like me. I would never be able to do what I do for a living if I didn't have the accessibility to reach people that otherwise would have never been able to hear of me. So
see, that's a beautiful part about it. you can reach so many people quickly too if you do it correctly. And like I have a buddy that kind of half-assed it and didn't really go very far because they didn't put the, like you were saying, it's really cheap to just pay for certain things like copyright and your masters and stuff. And I mean, if you put in just a little bit of work, you can blow up on the internet, and it is incredible. What I like is having the ability to hear, like you were saying, the person that goes home and does it like for fun or as a side gig, excuse me, and they create music and they just upload it, and you wouldn't have that opportunity. I met a musician that's from Milwaukee that actually is currently right now writing a song for a documentary I did. But if it wasn't for LinkedIn, shout out to Mr. Benjamin over there. But if it wasn't for LinkedIn, I wouldn't have heard the music. There wouldn't have been a connection. Back then was like looking at the papers or, getting demos and stuff, but locally. But now it's like across it's amazing. So
yeah.
No, I totally agree. I agree. The thing I was referring to is like, would they appreciate the physical part about it? You know what I mean?
Yeah, I'm a big fan of physical media still, but more along the lines of like collectible things. I'm not gonna go and decide if something was successful or not based off of how many records sold. You know what I mean? Because
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I could go and have I could launch something. I've got I've got a song on Spotify that is broke 1 million plays, but it also took a year to sell 200 vinyls.
Right.
So meanwhile, I don't want to go too far into shop, but meanwhile, I worked with an artist out of, I believe he was at New Jersey at the time, to do a vinyl that had a full gatefold and comic book in it and all this stuff. And then I worked with an Austrian record label to produce this wonderful thing,
Yeah.
and and yeah, we were able to move 500 units in under a year because it's this really cool collectible neat item, and stuff. And I mean, yeah, the album is good too, but but people listen to the album on Spotify and on Bandcamp and stuff. But like for the video game, we have physical versions of the games, physical stuff. We made a throwback strategy guides.
Oh wow.
So like like in the you'd get your old Nintendo Powers and they would have like level write-ups and they'd walk you through everything.
Yeah.
So we did that just a way to have some cool stuff. Yeah.
That's
but
awesome.
that's when I was a kid, I would sit there and I would have my headphones on and I'd listen to an album from beginning to end and I'd read the liner notes the entire time. Or like, if it was like a Tool album, I would just stare at the cover of the album for 60 minutes, and zone out and stuff. And that's really not necessarily how I think most people consume music nowadays, but I still give people that. Like, I still want to do that for others. So if somebody wants to listen to a Street Cleaner album and stare at the physical representation of it and zone out, then I'll make that available.
See, that's super cool. You brought up Billie Eilish. My daughter's huge. I mean, huge fan. And I actually contemplated, should I get her the CDs or should I just buy it all digital? I was in that situation and I thought about it and I was like, no, I'll just get her, like you were saying, I'll get her all the digital downloads she can download. I just pay for that. But then if there's like a box set or something that's like a special edition, dude, fuck yeah, I'll get that for her,
I got my son a record player, so that he could have his own record player. And I was like, oh, I wonder if he's going to do it. He's 11. So I was thinking that he's getting close to the age I was when I discovered music. So
Yeah.
I was thinking that he might be like into it or something, and he's not.
Oh,
He's just
give
like
it
he
time.
turns the record player on, he can put Legos on it, and they go in circles, and he's like, "Yeah, right on." Okay.
Give him time. It's crazy how vinyls come back. I remember as a kid, it was it was all vinyl and laser disc and shit, and
It still is Laserdisc for me, by the way.
Oh, really?
I have close to 400 Laserdisc films.
Holy shit!
Yeah.
Wow. Yeah, that's wow. That's. I'm shocked because like the only other person. No, they don't even have Laserdisc. I've never met anyone with Laserdisc nowadays.
And that's why I have so many Laserdiscs, because nobody else wants them.
That is fucking cool. Like, how do you collect them? Like, do you order them online, or do you is there a spot you go to?
I've only ever ordered, I think, 1 or 2 online. We used to have a business. There was a guy here in San Diego that had like 12 different stores that were called Music Trader or Thrift Trader, right?
Mm-hmm.
And it was like shops where you could bring your movies and music and stuff, and they would give you store credit, and then you could pick new ones,
Oh, yeah,
so
okay.
I'll bring in my Counting Crows CD, and they'll give me like 50 cents credit towards something, So that was just how that worked, and they inevitably ended up with lots of Laserdiscs. And so, just by being a frequenter, by going to these places constantly and being friends with people, they would set their Laserdiscs aside for me because nobody else was going to buy them, And so they would always, hook me up with that. And then also whenever, when I'm on a road trip, I always look for used music shops because they really don't exist anymore, but you could still find them. Like I found one in on tour. I stopped at a place called Rasputin in Campbell, California.
Yeah.
And yeah, they had a huge Laserdisc selection. The guy's like, "You really want those? They're in boxes underneath the thing on the floor, And
they're coasters right now."
So it's a really fun way to get, and then players as well. I have I think 4 different players, but they each have a different, thing. I had one for a while. That played Sega games. That was cool. But.
Wow, that's crazy. So, when was the last time you were out buying like Laserdiscs?
Not 2019. I mean, not 2020.
That's true. Yeah.
Yeah.
Wow.
I think the last ones I picked up were probably early last year. I always go through the records at thrift stores, and I'm a thrift store-aholic. Swap meets and thrift stores.
Yeah, I'm the same. I actually, when I went to San Francisco, we stopped off at Rasputin.
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah, because like
place is rad.
Yeah, we wanted to, because the whole pandemic thing, they closed down Amoeba, so my buddy and I would go to Amoeba all the time in LA. But when we went up north, he was like, "Dude, Amoeba's open." I'm like, "Awesome." And so is Rasputin. I'm like, "What's Rasputin?" And he just gave me this dirty look. He's like, "Really? You're like this like metalhead grunge dude that you don't even know what that is?" He's like, "Come on, let's go." So we went. I walked in. I'm like, "Oh, this is just like Amoeba." He's like, "Shh, don't say that."
Yeah.
You don't want to say that here.
Yeah, that's funny.
But I will say this, that they had way more shit than Amoeba. I mean, they had some fucking rare stuff.
They're not in the middle of a city. They're not, in LA.
Mm-hmm.
They could rent out bigger spaces, and
yeah.
But I thought it was weird. Last time I was there, I was looking at their DVDs, and they have a horror section, and their horror section has subsections. And I was just like, that's great. Like, there's literally a Japanese body horror section. Okay.
That is so cool, yeah.
I'll take it, yeah.
Yeah, we were there when we went up north. We went back twice. Was it twice? Yeah, it was twice. And I just got the first time I was like a little fat kid a big fat kid in a candy store. And I was like, everything was just shiny and shitty looking and dirty, and I'm like, oh my god! And I was just like going through everything. And
that smell, I can't
yes,
describe that smell, but people like us, we know that smell of going into a used music store and I don't know what it is about these places. You could just smell the VHS tapes and the DVDs and the tapes and the CDs and stuff. Like, yeah.
It's
and,
like
usually have concrete floors. They have poster remnants hanging on the wall. I love it.
Yeah, it's that charm. It's that charm, and you're right. You're totally right about the smell. It's like smelling a comic book.
Yeah.
It has like that unique, nostalgic. There's something, and I don't know. I dig it, especially like going. Like I went to a used music shop, and where they sell instruments and stuff. And what was it called? It was by Berkeley. We went all over the place, and it had. Speaking of smell, it had a unique smell. It's not like walking into like Guitar Center or something, like, But you walk in, it smells like a pawn shop, and if that, you know what I mean. And yeah, I bought some stuff there, but yeah, it's crazy how you associate certain things with like that nostalgia or I don't know. It's incredible.
Pawn shops are lost causes to me. I don't go to those anymore, or at least the ones around here.
Really?
Their markup is insane, and something changed. And it's usually some really grumpy guy smoking a cigar indoors, and just, what do you want?
I sell you this.
Jewelry or not? And how much is that kazoo? $900. Yeah.
It's funny. I was at a pawn shop in El Cajon. I was with my roommate.
Where I live.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Yeah, I live in El Cajon, right off of.
I thought you said L.A.
No. I thought you were asking me like where in the area I was going from store to store.
Cousins, I'm in El Cajon.
Holy shit! After the show, let's talk. There's this pawn shop. Let's see. It was off of Mollison, and Broadway. Madison? No. I always get the names confused, but it's right off of Broadway. And I walked in there, and I bought a TV with my roommate, but I saw a guitar. I said, "Hey, how much for that Ibanez?" "Oh, that's $325. Get the fuck out of here."
Yeah.
And I looked at it, and I was like, "I'm good." And he goes, "Wait, hold on a second. If you bring me cash, I'll give it to you for $50." And I looked at the dude, and I said, "Wait. So if I paid with my card, it's $300 and whatever. But if I give you cash, it's $50. What's wrong with this thing, So I started looking at it. I actually bought it. I'll explain why. I was looking at it, and I saw what was wrong with it. It was something wrong with the bridge. It had a Floyd Rose on it. So then the guy tells I'm like, $50 is too much, man. This is kind of busted. All right, $40. I'm like, no, I'm good. And I gave him back the guitar. And then he tells the guy, he's in Spanish, right? And I speak Spanish. I don't look it, but he tells him, he's like, "Hey, can I sell it to him for dirt cheap?" And he looks, he's like, "Why?" He's like, "'Cause it's broken." Okay. So the guy tells him, he's like, "All right, $25." I'm like, "Sold." $25, and I walked out. All it was missing was this little graphite thing that goes inside the bridge, and that's it. That holds the string. That's the only thing that was broken.
Did you stick a quarter in there or something and call it good? Like,
it's fixed and it plays beautifully, and I'm gonna end up selling it for 20 times the amount that I paid for.
as long as it's not a Geo. I don't have good experiences with Ibanez Geos.
No. Yeah, they're pretty bad. They're pretty bad.
My not to get into too much shop talk. My main is it's dusty right now because life. But I have a neck through RG3.
Whoa.
That I'm stoked about, and it's got the HR Geiger print on it. So I'll never play this live, and no one will ever see it. But that's why I show it on podcasts.
That thing's amazing. All right, I gotta show you this thing.
Let's see it.
I just bought this. Okay, it's an '84 Roadstar
Ah, nice.
with DiMarzio's, and this thing, it's so loud it feeds back. But oh, and it also has a coil tap, which to my surprise when I picked it up, I was like, holy shit, it has a coil tap. '84, all original, Japanese. Like,
Hell yeah, man.
this thing's fucking sick, dude.
Oh, tradesies, huh?
You want to trade?
You into a Korean Epiphone? So do you remember? I'm gonna tell this story the way it is. Do you remember Freedom Guitar?
Yeah.
So the thing about Freedom Guitar throughout my entire life was I never liked the owner. He's always been a really foul, angry, rancid man, you know. And when you deal with, when your main demographic is musicians, you're not dealing with the richest people in the world. They have to stretch their money as far as possible, you know.
Yeah.
And that's really counterintuitive to what that guy thought he was doing, you know. Like, he was such an enthusiast. He would price things to where it was just like, you're never going to move that. You're never going to move that. Like you literally are pricing it just so that you could say that you have that in your shop, you know. Like, that's a cool thing. No one's going to pay that for it, you know.
Right.
So for the longest time, he had a Simmons drum set, a 1980s Octagon, drum set Simmons. It was a fiberglass, and it had the little electronic pads. They were like bright red, and it was like really neat. And I think they wanted, I think it was $2,500 for it. It was for the pads, the hardware, and the brain. They wanted $2,500, and it sat there for a really, really long time. And I always ogled it because it was glorious. It was like, it's a mainstay of electronic music, you know,
Yeah.
it's great. Anyways, I'd always see it there. And one time I asked, like, oh, so this new guy was there, and I was like, hey, how much is this thing? And he's like, well, you want to buy the whole thing or just like one pad or what? And I was like, oh, the whole thing. And so he was like looking at it, and he's like, I don't know. And at some point in time, one of the zeros rubbed off. So instead of 2500, it just said 250.
What?
And yeah, and I had to make a conscience call, like do I do this or not, you know?
Yeah.
And like this guy that owns this place is such an asshole, and I'm not going to spend hours, telling stories about him. But like, do I do this? I'm like, oh, okay. Like, so I went and I got cash, and I came back, but the owner was there, and I was like, oh, okay, I got busted, all right. So he's like, all right, so do you want to buy this? And I was just like, I don't think so, not anymore. And the owner's like, he's like, dude, I'm really looking to get rid of this thing. It takes up space. And I was like, oh, okay, thinking that he's like, hey, I'll take $50 off of it.
Oh shit.
And I was like, all right, what does that make it? So I'm thinking that he means he's taking $50 off the $2,500.
Yeah.
No, he was cool with letting it go for $200.
Wow. Finally.
So I was just like, I just remember like being so scared, like, oh, don't drop this, and taking it piece by piece, and like putting it in my car and buckling each piece in, and
yeah,
like it was gold. Like, yeah, it was really awesome having that old school setup.
Would that feel like victory because the guy was such a douche knuckle?
Yeah, it felt, and I felt really good though that I didn't knowingly steal too. You know what I mean?
Right.
Like,
Yeah.
Yeah, but it felt like I won. I just had to wait it out and be there at the right time.
Yeah, it's like that sometimes. You find something and you kind of, it's funny. There's this drum set at Guitar Center in Grossmont that I've been eye-fucking for a year and a half. Not gonna lie. It was super cool. It just sat there. No one touched it. You can tell that they had to just wipe it down. So I literally went in to go buy it, and it was gone. I was like, are you kidding me? And the price kept going lower. It was at, I think, like $8.99, and then a few months later, $8.49, and a few months later, because they mark it down like $50. It got to the point where it was like $5.49, I think, and I was like, all right, I'm gonna go in, I'm gonna buy this thing, and then oh, I didn't have time. I'm like, oh, I'll go next weekend. I got my daughter. Okay, next weekend. I got to film. Okay, next weekend. And it kept going. And all of a sudden I was like, all right, I'm going to go. And I go and it's gone. And I told him, like, where's the drum set? He's like, oh, I sold it the other day to some kids. I'm like,
Was it Norm? Was Norm working that day?
Norm?
Yeah.
I don't know their names.
There used to be the guy that owned Blue Meanie used to work there at.
Really?
Yeah, he worked in the drum department. I like Sam Ash up in Lemon Grove. They've been really nice to me.
I was told to go there actually by one of the associates from Guitar Center.
Yeah, that's what I got. I got these. They gave me a screaming deal on them, and
nice.
they've always been really good to me. They always seem like they have the time and the knowledge. You know, they're not trying to kind of thing. Not throwing shade at a Guitar Center, but I kind of am.
No, it's okay. I used to work for them. Fuck them.
Oh, okay.
I'm gonna get so much shit from just saying that. One of my interviews actually still works for them. So,
shit.
No. Total transparency here for everybody listening. Guitar Center. It really depends on the store. The store that I worked for was such a small store, and everyone was like, it was more of like a family store. And it had that family feel. But then when I would go to the other stores, like Hollywood or Sherman Oaks, there were sharks. You're taking my customer. What? I thought we all worked for the same company. It's fucking crazy. It didn't. And if, in our store, the one I used to work at, if you didn't know, I don't know, let me ask so-and-so, versus I noticed a lot of people from Guitar Center will bullshit you. Yeah, it's a really nice, speaker there. Yeah, you can play some really hard music through that. That's a guitar amp. Like I was saying, the JBLs, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like I noticed that.
JBL stands for Just Blow It Out Loud, man. Yeah. I bought this guitar at the Grossmont Guitar Center. It was a model that I was looking for specifically, but it wasn't sold in stores anywhere. It was an online order thing, and it was so new at the time that everybody was not available, So I called around, and eventually the Grossmont store said, "Oh yeah, we have one." And I was just like, "That's bizarre," you know. I'll be there in 5 minutes, and so the guy scans it, and I said, "Can I open the box before I pay for it?" And he's like, "Oh, it's brand new. Don't worry about it." And I was just like, "No, I want it." Sure enough, man, somebody had returned this.
Yeah.
It was missing all the cables. It was missing all the drivers. It was
Fuck.
it still had batteries in it, and so that was a little bit of a debacle. I had to his boss came over and gave the whole fine, yeah, just yeah, fine,
Yeah.
And gave me a deal on it, but it was like they'll I feel like they'll say anything to get what they want. They didn't want to sell me a keyboard. I have a really nice keyboard case, but I wanted a keyboard bag as well, because I didn't want to have to carry the case for things that I don't need to, like if I'm not flying or something, right?
Right. Yeah.
Yeah. So I go and I want to buy this inexpensive. It's literally like a $29 keyboard case that's the right size and everything, and it's literally just a bag with a little bit of padding in it.
Yeah.
And it's $30. And although it's on their website, it shows that they got it and all this other stuff. The guy denied having it. Like, oh no, we have this, and it's like $70. Oh, you want this? It's the Gator skin or whatever. It's got the dual retro encabulators and the double back rattle snabs with the dual phase inducers. And I'm like, dude, this sucks. So I'm just walking around and I look, dude, sure enough, there's a stack of them up in the overhead. There they are. Can you give me that? Yeah.
Wow, it got caught trying to swindle you. That's fucked up.
He was just trying to upsell and denied having because I don't know.
It's funny because I remember when I was being trained, that's the one thing that they told me. They're like, you should always check the green screen, see what the numbers are. Never look around. Never do this. Just go on the computer and type it in, and if you can't find it on the green screen, go on the .com and take the name out and the numbers or whatever, and then look at the numbers. If it says 1, then you don't have it.
Yeah, you don't have it.
If you have 2, you might have it.
Yeah.
So that's the first thing they taught us was that. But when you go to the bigger stores or where the sharks are, they're like, oh, no. Just look it up. And if there's 1 or 2, just say, you know what, man? Let me go check in the back real quick. Just walk back there, have a cigarette, and come back. Yeah, I couldn't find it, But we have these and we have those. I fucking hate that, dude. And I think that's why we did so well, because we were so honest, We're like, oh, let me check. It says I have 1. Normally it means we don't have it. This is just like a computer error, but I'll go check anyway. And we really would go check. And sometimes we would find it. It was like, hey, we actually have 1. It's a miracle. But
yeah, I went to the Guitar Center in Atlanta, Georgia. That one was really neat. Those guys were really helpful. They I don't know how. I think everybody who works at Guitar Center is a musician or an aspiring musician.
Mm-hmm.
And it's weird because I'm obviously from California. I don't think I have an accent, when I'm somewhere else, but I'm in there and the guy immediately, he's like, are you on tour? He's like, yes.
I sure am.
Yeah. I'll put your name on the list. See you tonight.
Yeah, it is interesting. Like it's like originally, I was born in New York, and I would fly back and forth. I'd live out there a little bit and live down here. Majority of my life, I lived down here. And when I was an adult, I moved out there, and everyone knew I was from California. Everyone, right? Yeah, they're like, "What's up, sunshine? Hi, how's it going?" And I remember one time I called and I said to my boss, I'm like, "Hey, I'm gonna be a little bit late. The snow plow buried my car, so I have to dig it out, and it's like 5:30 in the morning." And he's like, "Oh yeah, it's not a problem. I believe you." What do you mean? It's like, "Well, you're from California, I'm like, "Okay." It's like, well, because if you were from here, I'd be like, "Yeah, go fuck yourself. I'll see you in 5 minutes." You know what I mean?
You're bad for not planning ahead.
Yeah, exactly. So it's interesting how like we don't hear it, but outside, it kind of like how we hear other, you're from Georgia, I can tell, or you're from New York, or you're from Boston, or whatever.
Yeah.
It's the same like the other way around. It's just interesting. You walk into a store, you're like, "Are you on tour? Can I have an autograph?" Sure.
It was funny, like when I was in Boston, everybody, I didn't notice any accents. Except for when I was waiting for my coffee in Starbucks, one guy comes in, he's got the total hey, give me one of them frappading-dongs over there. And I'm just like, this is great. They exist. I love it. Just one guy though. He probably just came off the boat somewhere, because he lives out there in the Atlantic Ocean.
That's awesome. Oh yeah, they do exist.
They do exist. Yeah.
Can I have your autograph?
I want to write a little book called "The Driving Habits of Each, Area." I think, people. I'm so accustomed to Southern California that everything feels fine here, but then I get up into the Northeast, and that's actually I prefer Northeast drivers because they're like, "Come on, get up. Come on, get the fuck, go. Let's get this over with. Let's go."
Yeah.
And they'll stop and let you in because they know it's for the betterment of everybody here. Let's just get this over with. Meanwhile, Southern California is more of a pissing contest, so I always have to deal with big egos down here. People like, "No," it's like, okay,
you
man,
get behind me.
Yeah, it's a zipper, but I guess not you, or
I actually yell that when I'm on the on-ramp or off-ramp. Like, I'm like, "It's a fucking zipper. Did you not grow up here?"
Then in the South, everyone's really slow. Everyone drives way below the speed limit. Sometimes they stop in the middle of the road, probably to change a song on their freaking iTunes or whatever. Yeah.
It's funny. I noticed because I do a shit ton of driving. Every week I'm driving 600 miles just to go to LA and back. For an example. And I noticed a difference. I'm going to get shit for this, I know. But I noticed a difference between San Diego drivers and LA drivers. But the one thing that stands out, and I'm shocked I haven't seen anyone die. Every day, no lie, no, and I gotta set up a camera to capture this. Every day, someone runs a red light in San Diego.
Oh yeah.
Every day, someone's like,
Yeah.
it's green for me, red for them. Everyone stop, and as soon as we start going,
Yep.
someone on their phone or something. Every
Man.
day, I notice that.
Off the air, I can get into all sorts of psychological conversations, but they're definitely not opinions that I think, in the right context, would. I want to say there's certain places you'll see that more, and I'll say Santee. You'll definitely see red light runners constantly because they're the most entitled people. They're the most, like my shit don't stink, lifted truck, fucking giant, what flags hanging out the back of their truck.
Yeah, I have noticed that. You're right. Yeah, I have noticed that. Lakeside, is it? What's near there? It's because it's Lakeside, right? I always go because I live in the area, so I always go to the Barnes and Noble there, and I drive around just to get out of the house, and I think it's Lakeside. I do notice that. Yeah.
Where I was born and raised.
Lakeside?
Yeah.
So you've been in San Diego like your whole life? Is
Yeah. Like most people, they leave. I didn't go. I'm a couple blocks from where I was born. So.
Oh wow. Yeah, I don't. Yeah, no, I left. I'm actually new to San Diego. It's interesting when I interview people from San Diego and they're like, yeah, this place in this corner, and I'm like, no. I have no clue what you're talking. And it's interesting. Even my buddies that are from San Diego, they talk to me like I've been here my whole life. No, I've never heard of that park. I don't know what you're talking about. What's a Coronado Bridge? I mean, I know it.
Oh, come on.
I know what it is now. But like they were telling, yeah, you go over there to Coronado. What's that? You never heard of Coronado? No. Wait, you actually live in TJ? You cross the border every day? Like shit like that. It's like, holy shit, I mean, now after a few years, I'm like, okay, I know what you're talking about. like what was this? This guitar store? Top 40s, something 40s.
Oh yeah, I know where that is. Yeah.
Yeah. So when I used to teach, my students would be like, "You got to go to the store." I'm like, "All right, where's it at?" It's in the city called Santee. Where's that? It's on the, I don't know, east side or something. East County, West County, wherever the fuck. And I'm like, what's that? Are you serious? I still, even to today, I still haven't figured out. They're like, oh, you go to North Park or whatever, or North County. I'm like, dude, why can't you just fucking call it the city that it is? Why do you have to give it another nickname?
Yeah, my girlfriend and I have a inside joke where, when people like, when you're out and about, I've done a lot of traveling the past couple of years, and people ask, oh, where are you? I just say San Diego, and the amount of times I get a response where people go like, oh, my brother-in-law lives in San Diego, and 99% of the time they always say, oh, he's in Vista, he's in Oceanside, he's in San Marcos, and I want to go like, that's not San Diego.
I was just gonna say that.
That's San Diego County, technically, but that's closer to Long Beach than it is San Diego.
Yep. It's funny because I don't consider. I want to say from past Kearny Mesa, past Mira Mesa. Yeah, it's even past the 52. I don't consider it San Diego.
Yeah, it's almost like it's not San Diego anymore. Yeah.
No, it should be not San Diego, or not considered like they call it North County. It's like, no, fuck you. It's not. It's in between. Let's call it in between. You have San Diego in between and in Temecula.
Yeah. Yes.
Let's
do that.
But yeah, I don't consider it because like I've been to a lot of cities and I relate. Like you go to Cisco. You go to certain areas in Cisco, you're like, this is Cisco.
Yeah.
Right? And then once you travel outside of Cisco, this isn't Cisco. It has that feeling. Same thing with San Diego and LA. Like San Diego has this vibe, but once you get past a certain point, it's like it's not San Diego.
Yeah.
You know. So I totally agree. You know, they're like, oh, they're from this. Like, that's not San Diego. You haven't lived if you haven't been downtown. That's actually my favorite part is going downtown San Diego.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. My favorite part to drive through, because it reminds me of Batman, is what's that? It's right before Coronado.
That would be was that a Chino Park area?
Yeah, Barrio Logan or
Logan. Yeah, that's really Batman down there.
Yeah, especially at night with the fog and the colors.
The train station.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I like going to Coronado, but I consider that luxury. But I like my favorite of all time is walking Santa Fe Depot.
Yeah, yeah.
Okay, you know the where the boats are, the Star India.
Yeah,
that's hands down one of my favorite places to go.
Oh yeah, I love
that
place. Walk down to Seaport Village from there. And...
Yes, thank you. Yeah. I couldn't think of the name. Seaport Village. We
got a lot of cool stuff to do here for free in San Diego, and it's really neat. I don't know. I think all of California though. I love going up to San Francisco and finding things to do up there. Tons of shit for free just to walk around, look at stuff.
You know, I was filming in Cisco, and I accidentally came across this giant forest out of nowhere, and ironically, the same thing happened to me here in San Diego. I was trying to drive to Julian, but I was trying to go a different route, and I got lost. And me being stubborn, I didn't want to use my GPS, and I just drove. All of a sudden, it was like desert, and I drove into this giant forest. It's incredible what's around here, you know.
Yeah, I picked up a new hobby, a new to me hobby, adventure biking. I got a dual sport.
Oh, cool.
And I like just hitting the trails and going on adventures around here in San Diego. There's a lot of really cool, places that are off the map. I'm sure they're on some maps, but they're off the normal maps that really are really surprising. I recently found new to me area, which is an old campground from it was a campground from like the 1960s to the 1980s. But then I guess during like the Reagan administration, like tons of money was cut for national parks and stuff. So they just abandoned it. And so now there's this trail that I don't think a car could go down. That's like on the side of this cliff that I could do on my motorcycle. And it takes you to this campground that's just, old plots, abandoned areas, old, it looks like it's the middle of nowhere, but then there's concrete that just kind of pokes up out of the ground, like you could see the chimney from the old clubhouses and stuff like that.
Wow.
And it's definitely fun shit you can do that it would take forever to do on foot, and you definitely can't do it in a car. And that's been my big thing. But
and that's here in San Diego.
Finding a forest in San Francisco. One thing that blew me away is if you go across the bridge, the Golden Gate Bridge, you take your first left, and you go up this hill. There's a parking lot up there, and there's this cave. And it's funny because on one side you look, and it's the entire San Francisco city skyline, the Pacific Ocean, the bay. You can see Alcatraz, and then you go through the cave, and you come out the other side of the cave, and you can't see a single speck of human existence. It's just nothing but like deer and trees and ferns.
What?
Yeah.
And this
it was a trip. It's like I walked into fucking Narnia.
Is it a cave you walk through or drive through?
Walk through.
It's a tunnel or like a long.
Tunnel.
It's a tunnel.
It's an old World War II installment.
Wow, I have to go back up there anyways to film, so I'm gonna check that out. So does it have a name or?
I'll find it. I'll email it to you.
Dude, that'd be awesome.
What's it? Sutro Baths. This is really cool too. You've been to Sutro Baths? It's this giant mega structure that was built on the ocean, and it burned down. So now the only thing left is the tiered remnants, all the old staircases and pylons and stuff like that were constructed. And
that's in Cisco.
What's that?
That's in Cisco.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
I'm actually looking at oh wow. Oh dude. Why am I not there now?
You found it?
Yeah. It says Lands End main parking lot, Teacher Baths. Yeah. Seal Rocks. Yeah.
Yeah, it's really cool. Once you go down there, I think the some of the Google pictures aren't doing it justice because if you turn around, there's just tons of caves.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I guess there used to be like a big mining company that had caves in like Indiana Jones style, where the rails came out of a cave and then across a trestle and then back into another cave. And
Wow.
that's really dope.
That's super cool. I'm gonna check that out.
Yeah.
That's awesome. So, any plans on? I mean, once all this bullshit we're dealing with is kind of over. Do you have any plans on maybe doing any live performances? I know you mentioned kind of earlier.
Yeah, I'd love to tour again. I'd love to get back out there and go big. Like if you're gonna do a tour, go big.
Yeah, it's
Make
true.
it count. Um, yeah, I'd love to do that. I'm it's hard to work on a project like that with so much uncertainty. I don't want to you know futilely plan a tour just to cancel a bunch of stuff. So
Yeah, yeah.
it might be a while. It may be next year, maybe 2022. Who knows? But I definitely want to get back out there and probably spend 45 days serpentining through the country. Maybe I'll get my passport and head up to Canada this time.
Nice, nice. I have yet to go. I always wanted to go to Canada. My buddy went up there for. He did like this work visa thing where the company he works for. They were recruiting people from the United States. They're like, "Oh, come up here and live." And he did it for like 3 years, and he's back. He regrets coming back. He totally is like, man, I should just stayed in Canada. You mean Canada? That's what I said, Canada. Okay, I get the
Canada.
jokes. What was your favorite venue to perform at?
Um, Man, I've got a bunch. I can think of a bunch that were really fun. I like playing weird venues. I like playing places that aren't normally venues. Like I played at a I played I've played in not one but two Chinese food restaurants on opposite coasts. Um,
Wow.
uh, One of them was in Oxnard, and it was really cool. And it was funny because you get there for load in, and it's still a restaurant. And then 8 o'clock they stop taking guests, and at 9 o'clock they pull aside curtains, move chairs, everything. And all of a sudden, the dining balcony is now a stage. Like the mini bar or the salad bar has been moved, and that's now it's like it was crazy. And then the other one was in a place. It was in I forgot the name of the city. It was northeast, and it was the third story of a building of a Chinese food restaurant. So it was like, we had to carry our gear up 3 flights of stairs of the
Ooh.
smallest service hallway ever. It was
Ooh.
really crazy, but the show was amazing. The amount of people that turned up, it was phenomenal. Cambridge, Massachusetts, that's where it was. And it was mind blowing. It was one of the best shows. But then I've played stages like the Echoplex,
Mhm.
which is a huge stage in Echo Park. I've played there a couple times. I played the House of Blues with Stabbing Westward.
Oh, I
Um,
love them.
I
Wow.
love that band so much, dude. Playing with them, I was the only opener. It was great. It was one of
Oh
the weirdest
God, I'm
feelings
so
ever.
jealous. So
Yeah.
jealous.
Yeah, it was really great being able to open up for one of the bands I love so much. And that was crazy. That was I played at the Music Box downtown San Diego that has the most insane sound system. Um, and I would say that one was really rad. I don't know. I think it's definitely the audience that makes a show.
Yeah,
Um,
that's true.
but a really shitty venue can turn a really good audience into a shitty show. But I don't know. I can't. Yeah, I'd say there's a few. Those are a few of the best ones.
So what was okay? Now I have to ask this. Okay, I ask every musician this. What was your worst, if you'd like to disclose this? What was the worst show or venue you've performed at?
The Whiskey A Go Go.
Ah! What happened?
They hustled us.
No
They
way.
hustled me. I was playing direct support that night for a band called The Midnight. And they used a lot of really mean bully tactics. I didn't get paid. I had to sneak back in to get my stuff.
What the fuck?
It's a
When was
long story.
this?
It's going to be an entire chapter of my book.
Oh my god. When was it? When was this?
2018.
Are you sure it was a whiskey or was it through M Productions?
It was through Whiskey.
Oh, that's a shame. Wow, that's a shame. It was for a long time when I was a kid. That was my dream to play there, and I was in a punk band, and my singer was like, "I'm gonna make your dream come true." So I performed there, and I got hustled. I'm performing there a few times. I got hustled where, or I should say, we got hustled where we sold our tickets. We sold whatever, the merch we had to sell, and they kept the profit, and we didn't get paid. And then I found out that it wasn't the whiskey, like the actual venue. It was the production company that works with the whiskey. They hustled us.
From what I understand is I was contacted by an employee at the Whiskey, a guy named Greg, who was putting together this event, and he was just like, hey, he hit me up with the offer, and I was like, this sounds really great. I don't sell tickets. I've never sold tickets. When I hear that, I just kind of nope out of that situation, and so, and he never even brought up tickets. So it wasn't a thing. It wasn't something I was going to do. And so we talked about it. It was great. We came up with a contract or an agreement and stuff, and everything was awesome. And then day of the show, it was a real pissing match. It felt like they were all they didn't give me a sound check. They wouldn't let me sound check. I couldn't talk to the sound guy. I like to talk to the sound person and the stage manager and the lighting person. Hey, this is what we're going to be doing. Blah blah blah. They made themselves very inaccessible. The green room was like this. I can go on forever.
Yeah.
In the end, I found out that they had fired Greg or parted ways with Greg, and I think they were so angry at Greg that they were kind of taking it out on the people that showed up because they had the obligation. They had to go through with the show. But I set up I brought my own tables for merch booth and stuff. I even bring my own clamp on lights. Most of the time I don't have to use them, but if I do, they're in the van.
Yeah.
I'm setting up all my merch, and I got some guys going, whoa, we got to count that. I was like, no, you don't. He was like, yeah, we're going to count this, that, he wants 50%. They want 50% of my merch sales. They're going to count it before, they're going to count it after, and I have to pay them 50%. And I was like, nah, that's not part of my contract. And they're just like, then you're not selling, blah, blah, blah. So, and I was like, okay, fine, and so I went like, I was like, fine, count it. I don't care. You count whatever you want. But I boxed it back up. And then when I went on stage, I took all of my merch and I threw it all out. I would rather give away all of my shirts and all of my albums than to give this place a penny. And I think that pissed them off so bad, they bullied me and another act out. Like they sent their fucking goon squad to get us out of the green room and to get us the fuck out,
What the fuck? Wow. That's insane, man.
I had another one. I'm not gonna disclose this location because I don't want to hold it against the venue. But there's a venue. It wasn't new, but it was newly remodeled with new owners. And they put in a really epic, state-of-the-art, really nice sound system, brand new, had all sorts of touchscreen juba jobbits and stuff, you know. I'm like, oh, neat, awesome. So anyways, do sound check. Sound check sounds rad. But I noticed one of the earlier acts is that one of the earlier act that was playing sounded pretty tinny. And I was like, that doesn't sound right. You know, like I know these guys. It's a band out of LA called the Warhorse, and they're one of the most amazing live acts I've ever seen in my life. And it's just, I got the luxury of being able to play with them a couple times. And they were amazing. And I know they fucking kill it. But their sound was so tinny, it didn't make any sense, you know? So I go up to the sound guy and I was like, hey, something's off. And he's like, hey, I can only put out what they give me. And I was just like, I guess, you know, that's weird. The second band goes up, the same thing. It's really tinny. It's almost like the subs aren't even on, you know?
What? Yeah.
And I was like, this sucks because sound check sounded so good. I go up, dude, I felt like I was playing out of an AM radio. It sucked so bad.
Really?
You know, and it's really hard to get into it when you don't have that I don't know. So anyways, we did the best we can, and the sound guy got paid out of our door, which is the contract that we had. It's fine. It was the contract we had.
Yeah.
So we paid the sound guy out of our door, and then he comes up, hey guys, hey, come around, hey, listen, hey, you know. So he's got us there, and he goes, hey, I want to let you guys know, you guys leave a lot to be desired as far as sonically. Now, I run a studio here in LA. If you guys want that oomph, you know, if you guys want that next level of production quality, you got to come and see me, and I'll really make you, you know, bright shine up. And I'm like, did you just fucking sabotage us so that you could upsell us on your services, you fucking asshole?
What?
Like, are you serious? Yeah. So
yeah, the nerve, dude. Jesus.
That's such an LA thing, though.
It is. It is. Wow. Yeah, that's fucked up. So I mean, like, they make you sound badass. And, you know, and they'll probably be like, well, you know, you sound different when you know, the place is full of people, and you know,
it was full of people
later. Yeah, dude. Fuck that, dude. I mean, I've had sound guys where you know, like your rehearsals, like, you sound professional, like legit, like you've been touring your whole life, and this guy knows your ins and outs, and then when you're playing, just like you said, you sound like garbage. And I remember playing, where was it? Crane's Tavern, and I looked at the sound guy. I was like, dude, why does my guitar sound like it has no balls? Like, I know I'm like high end and I'm the treble, but like, dude, come on, like, what happened? Oh, you know, yeah, it's like, no, come on, fix it, you know. And it was bad. It was just bad. And then the mix was off with the drums. Like, you couldn't hear you couldn't hear tonality. It was just all woof, like muffled garbage, you know.
There are some cases where you mesh with a sound guy, and they end up like the additional member of your band almost, you know. Like, there's are you familiar with the Moreau and Hillcrest? There's a venue called the Moreau and Hillcrest. Their guy Shiloh there is great. He's amazing. He plays their sound system because it's his sound system. He plays it like his own instrument, you know, and what he's able to get out of that is amazing. And then there's Luke. He does brick by brick, and he's done sound at Space as well, and he's one of the greatest sound guys. He's the master of his craft when it comes to you know, live sound engineering. I've been lucky enough to have him as my sound engineer a few times, and I know it's going to be a good show if I see him. I'm like, oh,
shout out to those guys, you know. Yeah, and it, you know, it's hard to find someone that actually gives a shit, you know, like, you know, like I remember, you know, I have an opinion about the Whiskey, but I remember playing at the Whiskey, and this one engineer, you know, what was his name? Crush, I think they called him, and you know, he would tell us like, hey, I'm just letting you know you're gonna sound like shit on stage, but you're gonna sound badass out here. Okay. And so I'm on stage, and like, I mean, those speakers are so fucked up, you know, and you sound like garbage. I'm like, oh my God, this is terrible. And everyone's like, dude, you guys sounded amazing. Like I was listening to a CD and blah, blah, blah. Get the fuck out of here. It's like, check this out. They pull their phone out, and I'm like, oh my God. And I'm like, dude, thank you. He's like, yeah, you know, I've heard some stories, you know, but you know, we try to hook it up. I'm like, thanks, man. You know, same thing at the Key Club. their engineer, I never got to meet him, but like I was listening to the bands that were playing before and after us, and dude, like frequency down to a fucking science, man. Like he got it. It was so cool how this guy, and he was controlling the vocals too, because normally the singers would back up and. You know, but he told everybody, he's like, don't back up, I got you. I can read you. Like I've been doing this for like my whole life. I know when you're gonna yell. I know, like I just know. And he knew. I'm like, it's called a compressor. And a limiter too. No, I'm just kidding. But no, he was really good at adjusting levels. I remember my friend Trevor was playing, and you know, he was just playing and it sounded so amazing, and it was the same guy, and I was like, fuck, dude, I wish all engineers were like that, you know.
Yeah.
You find those gems in just random places. It's like, you don't belong here. You belong in my band.
Yeah, right.
just follow
Go
us.
on the road with me, please.
I'd like to employ you. Dude, man, I really appreciate you doing this. This was fun. This was a fun interview. So I got all your you know, the stuff for people to follow you and to click. Is there anything you want me to post or anything, you know, specific, like a specific website or?
CreakyLantern.com. That's the site for the dev that I work with. I'm part of the development team over there, and so it's really making the shift. You know, I'm still going to be releasing music and playing shows, but you know, I don't have a day job anymore. Rather, in the traditional sense, what I do now is I work for Creaky Lantern Games and do street cleaner stuff. And right now, Creaky Lantern Games and Street Cleaner are crossing paths with Street Cleaner the video game. So
nice.
That's awesome. But I think, you know, the success of the game is the most important thing for me. You know, this is, you know, we're taking everything that we're all the momentum we're getting from this game, and we're just gonna roll that into the next project and go bigger and bigger and bigger, and hopefully, you know, we could really deliver some really awesome stuff to people that like playing video games and like wacky music. So yeah, if people could go to Creaky Lantern.
Cool. Yeah, I'm definitely gonna blow your shit up, dude. Like I'm not gonna lie, cause like in here in the studio I have rockets, right? And I had it on what level 4, and it's just like G like just blasting, and I'm like,
man, I'm so picky when it comes to mastering. Like like I think some people shred on their different instruments. Like, you know, you can hear this one guy and you're like, oh man, like this guy's really good on guitar, but his bass parts are so boring, you know, but he did them both himself. I think think the one thing I like to say that I shred on is the production side, you know, like
it is really like, well done. I'm not kissing your ass.
I know how to EQ stuff, and I know how to compress stuff the right way, and I know how to organize some channels to get them to talk to each other, and yeah, that
was the first thing I noticed. I was like, this is really well produced. Like no lie, like I was listening to it and I was like, fuck, dude, like yeah, it's very well produced. Yeah, you know, and you did it all yourself. That's incredible.
Thanks, man. Yeah,
you got
these Rocket 8s over here.
Yeah, I have these are 5s.
5s are great, man.
I don't even know. Yeah, I actually got to get new speakers. I got the Harbingers on top, but I gotta get me some flat ones for sound designing. So, but yeah, you guys heard it here, man. Go to Creaky. What was it again? I'm sorry.
CreakyLantern.com.
Lantern.com. You can click below if you're on the YouTube. Well, if you're on any of the platforms, you can just click on all the links. They'll be down there.
Check out our game on Steam. Available on Steam right now, and we're working on other platforms as well.
Steampowered.com, right?
Yeah.
Cool. I'll actually put that link. And you click on it, it'll take you directly to Street Cleaner. Dude, we gotta do the film. We gotta do the film.
Hey. Now that I know you're local, it makes it even more of a possibility.
Hell yeah. You know, just good old fashioned crime fighting.
Oh man, dude, I have treatments. I've been working on this thing for a decade, dude.
Nice. Well, you guys heard it here, man. Check the links below, and we'll see you guys next week.